everybody. It's Congresswoman Lauren Underwood. I am so glad to be here with my friend Anthony Magliari for our next installation of our Path to Victory series with the Farm Team PAC. So if this popped up on your feed and you're like, oh my gosh, I didn't even know I was following the Farm Team. Like, what is this? Here's the deal. I've started this group to support exceptional candidates running for state and local office in the 7 counties that I represent here in Northern Illinois, folks just like Anthony. And we have such a tremendous opportunity to help Anthony get across the finish line. 14 days left in this election. Anthony is running for county board in District 2. And so we're going to just have a nice little chat today. District 1.
District
okay.
1. No
District 1. Have a nice little chat today and make sure that we know exactly where he's running and why and what he hopes to accomplish, so that each of you are engaged, informed voters, because we know that every day is election day right now. Literally, you can go and vote as soon as we're done with this live. All of our community polling places are open for early voting. You can fill out your ballot and drop it in a drop box if you want, or mail it in. However you want to vote, the key is don't wait. So with that, I am so excited to bring Anthony into the conversation. So let's get started by just, you're introducing yourself. Let us know where your district is and what made you want to run for county board.
Cool. Yeah. Thanks, Lauren. It is District 1, which is the western 2/3 of Kendall County. It's Plano, it's Millbrook, it's Newark, it's Yorkville, it's Montgomery, what they call Bristol, Lisbon. It's the majority of Kendall County, unless you live like on the far eastern sides. Things like even the northern part of Oswego is District 1. South of the river in Oswego is District 2, and then the part even Platteville is District 1, most of it, I think, and then Joliet is District 2. So Oswego, Aurora, and Joliet are all District 2. Well, if you're in Kendall County and you're not in those towns, you're probably in District 1. So yes. Thanks. As far as why I wanted to run for office, that's a great question. The short answer is probably that I'm in a place right now in my life. I grew up in Kendall County, and I'm finally in a place where I can return to Kendall County to raise my daughter in this area. And I've been involved in Kendall County for a really long time. I started NewarkNet, rural internet ISP, to try to do this whole rural broadband thing that we talk about. I started that in 2002, and just after I graduated from college. So I've been coming back to this area, but I didn't have my full-time residence here until I had a daughter who will be 3 on Sunday. So I'm excited about that. But I'm in a place now where I have roots in the community. I really want to try to give back, and I'm frustrated with a lot of the political climate right now. Of just, it's never been this crazy. And if I can be a part of the solution and be someone who can work across the aisle, across the spectrum with everyone, and work on the values we all share, things like controlling property taxes, things like, sustainable environment, sustainable fiscal budgets, cycling trails, things like that. I want to do it. Specifically, I notice in my part of the district, we don't really have a lot of people that live in the smaller towns or the rural areas on the county board. And there are things that get missed that people out here care about. And I've had numerous people come around. Besides property taxes, that's probably the biggest thing I hear from people that I talk to in District 1, outside of maybe Yorkville, is that there just isn't enough representation from people like us on the county board.
And it's important. Representation matters, and making sure that all of the residents in our community have a voice in the decisions that are being made locally. It's critical, particularly in a growing county like Kendall County. I know one of the big focuses and emphasis for your campaign and your work just ongoing as an internet service provider, ISP, is about rural broadband and connectivity, and making sure that everyone has access to this infrastructure. So let's talk about the infrastructural needs of rural Kendall County. What kind of plans do you have? What kind of ideas do you have?
So yeah, as far as the infrastructure in Kendall County, I think one of the biggest things that most people would point to as far as an infrastructure problem in the rural parts of Kendall County were the bridge over the Fox River in Millington. That's the automotive road bridge that goes north to south. A lot of people in our area use it to get to Sandwich. Millington uses it to get to Sandwich as well. That bridge was supposed to be closed for 2 or 3 months, and it ended up being closed for over 3 years. They opened up for a brief period in there, but it was about 3 years total that it was closed. And it was our county working in collaboration with LaSalle County to try to get that done, but it should have taken months, and it took years, and people were really, really frustrated. I travel across that bridge to see my doctor, but as far as Newark Net, we have customers on either side of that bridge too, and it's like a 18-mile, I think, trip out of your way every time to just get what should be like a mile away. So we were frustrated that took so long, and it finally is open. But those are the kind of things that I feel like wouldn't have taken 3 years had we had someone who actually uses that bridge regularly on the board, feeling that pain. So that's one infrastructure piece. Another big thing that people have been talking about lately has been, we have a historic bridge in the next town over Mill Brook that's been closed to cars for a long, long time, but it was a pedestrian bridge up until about maybe 2015, and then it was closed down and in need of repairs. And the county board got an estimate to repair it of about $1 million. They didn't do anything about it, and then this last year they approved demolition of that bridge for about $500,000, and then so half the price to fix it, just to tear it down. I know there was some leeway in there. I mean, if they would have supposedly got that bid would have been more than $1 million by the time they renewed it later. But it's just a huge missed opportunity, because that's I talked to people that used to ride their bike across that bridge. It goes like between two parks. It just would have been a fantastic opportunity to increase our trails infrastructure out here. The politics in Millbrook didn't really want that bridge repaired or people on it at the moment, but that bridge has been around for 100 years, and I think we could have just fenced it off and waited for the right time to really make it something great, rather than pay $500,000 to have it torn down. Then even worse than that, when they did tear it down, the company that we contracted with to do it ended up saying, "Oh, look, it's starting to be unstable. Let's just throw it all in the river." And we had all these great plans for barges and with nets and to do it all environmentally consciously, which is why it was that price. And they just, "Oh, look, it's unstable." They just took their machines and just destroyed it all right into the river. It's a travesty, really. So those are the kind of things that nobody's happy with. The board certainly isn't happy with it. It went that way. But my point is, I would have never approved. I don't believe it was an imminent risk to any other bridge sitting there, the same way it's been sitting there for the last 120 years. So those are the kind of things people don't like to see us spend significant amount of money just to destroy things, right? That's $500,000 that could have been spent a lot better. So as far as infrastructure in the rural communities, that's like the big roads thing. I would like, obviously, this rural broadband thing. I know a lot about that, and I could speak a lot about that. We try really, really hard at NewarkNet to be able to be sure, no matter where you are, we can get you service. However, if you're in a valley or surrounded by trees, I mean, it's a line of sight type service. There's nothing that can be done for you with our technologies. I know Elon Musk with SpaceX has a product called Starlink, where they're putting thousands of satellites into the low Earth orbit, and they've got about 800 up now. Once they get to about 4,000, they should be able to cover the entire 99% of the populated world. That'll probably be a good solution for those people that are living in valleys or with a lot of trees. As long as you can see the northern sky, you should be able to get internet service that should actually be pretty good. So that's probably where that's going. But yeah, that's infrastructure in rural Kendall County in a nutshell.
What's so interesting about that is, we talk a lot about infrastructure, and Congress certainly trying to get resources to rebuild America. And in Springfield, right, they did the big capital plan and project, and, gave so many, or appropriated so many counties resources in order to do this work. But what you're describing is a different type of problem. You have the resources, but make sure that the delivery is working for the residents of the county. And when it's not, needing to have a voice at that table to make sure that, the resources are being well spent. And I think that that's such an important perspective that you would bring to the county board, and certainly important for all of us to consider as we embrace infrastructure investment moving forward, which will be important as we work to recover from COVID-19 and the impact on our nation's economy. So you speak a ton about green energy, offering a unique opportunity to rural communities. And I think that this is something that's exciting in Kendall County, the way that they're starting to lean in. So can you tell us about your plans?
Sure, yeah. So I've got a YouTube channel where I do these deep dives where you can listen to me interview experts. I love the deep dives. So yeah, there's three types of solar, ways to get solar right now, they are in the broad categories of governmental solar, which the board has actually been doing to get a lot of our government buildings. There's in Yorkville, where all the Kendall County, the health department, the jail, and the courts, they are all going to be, by the end of this year, connected to a 2-megawatt solar farm that they've put up. That's going to save taxpayers, not a massive amount of money, but over $100,000, maybe up to $150,000 a year in perpetuity, at least for the next 20 years during the life of that solar array. That's great. I'd love to see more projects like that. That's a win-win for taxpayers, for the environment, for everyone. So that's the government solar projects that I'd like to work on the board. Furthermore, in Illinois, we've been doing set-asides with ComEd and Ameren that were built into the rate that customers have been paying for years to invest in clean energy. And one of the ways that they are able to do that with these things called SRECs, or renewable energy credits, and they are selling those or giving those to people who are offering community solar. So community solar is maybe your house doesn't have a south-facing roof. Maybe it's not the best option for, installing solar panels yourself. You can enroll in a community solar project, and there are 3 companies offering community solar. You can do the work on them. I've got a rubric on one of my YouTube videos that talks about all 3 companies, what they offer, but in a nutshell, they all offer between 10 and 20% off the supply rate of your of your electricity bill. And all of that comes from solar panels that you basically lease that exist in Illinois on a solar farm, pumping energy back in. And you get to guaranteed rate to buy those at 5 or 10 or 20% less than whatever the negotiated standard rate is with Ameren or ComEd. So it works great. It's a no-brainer. I'm so excited about it. They actually have most of these companies have waiting lists to even get you on. They can't build these solar farms fast enough. So it's a really exciting way that Illinois is able to switch over to clean energy. And finally, if you have the house and if you have the southern facing roof, I might even just put an array in my backyard if it's approved. There's a village meeting tomorrow night to talk about if ground mount solar is going to be an option. But the payoff is with the current federal and state incentives, it's basically like pays between 1/2 and 2/3 of what it costs to get that installed. And it's great for jobs. It's great for the environment. It's great for the economy. And then you basically you pay it off just in the savings from your electric bill. You can get it paid off in roughly 10 years from a couple of the different. We do a deep dive for 2 hours with a local residential solar installer on how that works. And then for the next 10, 20 years, you're getting your power for free. So it's roughly $1,000 a month that I spend in the supply cost of my energy. So there's things like that we can do, especially in the rural areas where we have the space, we have the rooftops to offset or to completely be self-sufficient. And I think even like about the COVID pandemic, I remember back in March, we were all very, very careful in washing our hands all the time like we were supposed to, and being a lot more diligent than a lot of us are now, unfortunately. I started wondering, like, what if, when it's like you think of it like a zombie apocalypse, like what if like my power is cut off at my house, like what would I even do? But if you had your own solar system and a small battery backup system, you could actually be self-sufficient in some kind of crazy pandemic zombie apocalypse future. So it's just a nice peace of mind too. Not only is it good for all those other things, it also gives you peace of mind. So that's the clean energy stuff that I'm excited about.
Self-sufficiency, sustainability, and bringing more opportunity to Kendall County, right? Kendall County has an opportunity to be a leader in this space, particularly as Kendall County continues to grow. And we want to make sure that someone who has a focus and an interest and expertise can be on the county board in the decision-making role. I think it's really a unique perspective that you bring to your candidacy. So thank you for sharing that. But let's talk about the politics, right? The reality is that District 1 is really purple, evenly split between Democrats and Republicans. So how is it that you plan to work with and represent those who don't agree with you on every issue?
Right. No, that's a great question. And that's one of the things I'm really, really passionate about. I mean, I look up to politicians like, Pete Buttigieg and yourself, people who can like work above the fray. I mean, I've seen your ads where you talk about how you're so excited that you got so many pieces of legislation signed into law by President Trump. Like, those are the kind of things that I think speak strongly that, hey, I'm not here as a partisan that just wants to be, an extreme left or an extreme right person. I want to help the majority of people who are in the middle and want to see things done. Now, we can have stronger feelings fiscally center or liberally more left or whatever, but the point is that we want to bring people together and focus on our common interests, things in Kendall County like controlling property tax costs. Everyone talks about that, and there are certainly ways that we can address that on the county board level. Our impact is limited because of a property tax bill. The county board only controls the county board section, and the forest preserve section, which equals about 9% of your property tax bills. We could strip everything out of county government and your tax bill would only go down 9%, as depressing as that is. But we still need to be diligent and be good stewards of that 9%. The rest of it is things like, schools and fire departments and libraries, taxing districts like that, things that are important and have a lot of value, but we need to maybe focus on trying to find better ways to fund them, either at the state level. I know there's this income tax initiative in Illinois, and there's also the thing that everyone agrees on is that we need to try to attract more business and more manufacturing, or anything that's more tax dollars that are paid by people who aren't residents that live here. So that can offset the cost. And that's one of the reasons maybe Kendall County has disproportionately high tax rates, is because our housing values are a little bit lower than a lot of other places, but we still want to have the good services that a lot of other places have. So the rates are on the higher side, and we don't have a whole lot of industry that helps offset that burden. So I've been talking a lot with the managers of economic development in places like Yorkville and other towns in this county, and really there's some exciting things that we can do even at the county board level to really promote more economic development or economic development managers. I've even heard some suggestions of working at like a salesperson's position, like they get maybe a lower base salary, and then for every business they attract, they get a bonus to really get them out there and trying to bring businesses to Kendall County to help offset those taxes, to give some tax relief to the residents that are so frustrated with the current property tax bills they pay today.
Yep. And, in addition to these kind of great ideas, right, for how to solve the problem, and I think problem solving, getting in there and doing the work goes a long way, particularly in bridging the partisan divide, but so does showing up and being in the community and of the community and engaging people in environments where they're comfortable. It is also such an important part of, navigating an environment where, it's purple. So as we wrap up today, you touched on something, the forest preserve, and, we don't hear a lot about it. And so just wondering what other kind of issues that you're focused on that you don't think receives enough attention.
Right. Yeah. So you've seen me out and about. If I'm not on my walker, I'm on my recumbent tricycle. I do like cycling trails. I do like to get out there and enjoy the outdoors and propel myself at normal speed. It's a lot of fun. The cycling trails around Kendall County, we've got some pretty cool ones, but a lot of them are segmented off and not connected. I think with the forest preserve and some of the county roads that the county board controls, we can try to find ways to better connect some of those, to actually build a network of trails where we can interconnect to some of the trails that are in other counties, or some of the better trails off into the Oswego area, and just try to connect all of them together to give, and some of these subdivisions have like a nice trail network within them, but there's maybe 10 or 6 blocks where these kids are stuck and they can't get out, right? And if we could just make a little connector to this other trail network where these kids can ride all over the place, that would be great, rather than making them go on a busy county road to try to get to any new cycling trails. So that's something that I'm personally passionate about. I'm excited to see if I get elected what I can actually do on that. But I've been going all around the county. You can go to my social media and see pictures of where I'm like, oh, look at this. If we would just make this go a little further here, it would connect and it'd be so much better. I'm all over that. And if anyone has great suggestions for me, I'm always excited to hear. You can, send me a Facebook message or
drop it in the comments, everybody. Let us know what you're thinking. Because here's the deal, right? This is why I'm so excited to have endorsed Anthony and supported him as a Farm Team PAC candidate, is that he's bringing ideas, he's responsive, he's accessible, he wants to do good work across Kendall County, but he needs your help to get across the finish line in these final 2 weeks. I mean, literally, there's 2 key things that you can do to help make sure that Anthony wins and can bring your voice to the county board. First is be generous with your contributions. I know you're like, at the end of the campaign, how are we still talking about money? But the key is that this is not a usual election. We need to make sure that everybody understands how to vote, and that everybody understands to vote all the way down the ballot. And Anthony's race is an important one. And we want to make sure that all voters are hearing from him. So you can donate to Anthony's campaign. We're going to put a link in the chat, but also, or in the comment section. But also, you can visit our website at www.farmteampac.com and click on Anthony Magliari, and it'll get you over to his contribution page. The other thing that we need you all to do is sign up for a shift to help make calls to voters so that Anthony has the great team of volunteers that he needs for this big get out the vote push. You know, there's been a lot of enthusiasm, a lot of excitement around early voting. And no one is more pumped than me, trust me, about this early voting turnout. But again, we need to make sure that everybody in District 1 knows the name Anthony Magliari and knows where to find him on their ballots. And so we know that this team, the farm team, can show up for Anthony big time. We are counting on you guys. And so we're going to ask you to sign up, make that commitment right now, and sign up to help Anthony get across the finish line. Thank you, my friend, for joining us for this latest episode of The Path to Victory. I'm excited to be celebrating with you in the next couple weeks. And in the meantime, everybody, stay tuned. We're going to keep it coming with more and more great candidates. Take good care of yourselves.
Thanks, Lauren.